This is the Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by your Texas Chevy dealer.
Hi everybody, and welcome into the next to last episode of your 2010 season of the Southwest Outdoors Report. That's right, only this week and next week, which will be our season-ending special episode of the show, where we'll look back at some of the highlights of the season and have a whole lot more special stuff for you as we finish out the season. We will take a 3-month break and we'll be back on the air for the 2011 season in mid-March. But we finally have some cold weather that's filtered in across our region. In fact, it's 27 degrees as we come to you right now from beautiful Lake Whitney, located right in central Texas, just north of Waco and just a little bit west of I-35. Now, as we get ready to finish up our season and head to the winter months, I like to leave you with a good way to catch fish in the cold weather months. And one of the species that bites the best in cold weather is the striped bass. So on today's show, we're going to take the Nitro Z8 out onto Lake Whitney, and we'll be investigating and showing you some striper fishing, how to catch them in cold weather, how to make them bite, and some of the best striper fisheries across our region in Oklahoma, in Arkansas, and in Texas. And we'll be taking you around the region for this week's fishing reports from our team of reporters. Also this week on the Lawrence Hot Lake of the Week, we'll be showing you one of the best bass fishing wintertime hotspots in Oklahoma up at Lake Tenkiller. On Barry's Real Fishing, we'll have a Texas Parks and Wildlife special of too many turkeys. And on this week's Big Catch of the Week, we'll catch up with lots of our viewer fish photos that we didn't have room for earlier in the season. So we're all bundled up today. Once again, 27 degrees as we launch out. We'll go see what's happening on Lake Whitney. But first, here's Heather with this week's Chevy Weekend Plan.
A check of the Salinar tables indicates that you will need to be on the water a little bit before sunset for the peak evening hours. The best times will begin at 3:30 p.m. on Saturday and at 4:15 on Sunday. Look for the sun to rise at 7:19 a.m. and set at 5:21 p.m. Your evenings will feature a crescent moon, 33% visible. Also, I want to let you know that the Texas Freshwater Fisheries Center will be closed next week for some repairs. The facility should open again in about a week, but be sure to check their website before planning a visit. Have a great weekend, everybody. Now back to Barry.
Thanks very much, Heather. We're out on Lake Whitney right now, and the first thing I'd like to do to set up this wintertime striper fishing is to tell you two clues that you need to be watching for when you're on your boat in the wintertime looking for stripers. The first thing you need to watch for is white diving seagulls. You can see right there, I can almost guarantee you there's a school of stripers underneath those birds. The second thing you need to look for is fish under your boat on your electronics. You can see on my Lowrance HDS 10, we are loaded up with fish almost right square underneath the boat. So I've got two rods rigged up right now with two different kinds of baits. We'll try to catch a few stripers on Whitney today, show you everything you need to know about catching them in the cold winter time, not only here, but all around our region. And later on, I'll give you some of my favorite striper lakes. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
This is the Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by your Texas Chevy dealer.
There's one. Let's see what this is. Little striper. Not much to him, but something to get it going. Hey, welcome back everybody. Your Southwest Outdoors Report today at Lake Whitney on a very cold morning out here. Trying to catch a few stripers and explain to you how to catch maybe the best biting fish in the wintertime. Cold weather does not bother these fish. Let me tell you what is critical though. You have to have good electronics. This is my Lowrance HDS 5. And you can see that it is absolutely loaded with fish. And those are probably all stripers right there. So we'll show you the baits that you need to catch them, but you need to be able to just drive across open flats, find ledges, drop-offs, humps, find the bait fish with your electronics, and you could see a beautiful sight like that and catch some stripers. A little bit later, we'll tell you which lakes are the best around our region as well. All right, let's get things going with our fishing reports right now. Check in with Gary Dollahan in Oklahoma.
There's something about the Christmas time frame that always makes me think rainbow trout. That may be the fact that Christmas stockings are involved with both. That's exactly what the Department of Wildlife Conservation does in the state in certain waters. They put rainbow trout in this time of year. Those waters include Watauga, Blue River, Robbers Cave, Pawhuska, the DeLease Youth Park there in Oklahoma City, and then beginning in January, Carl Etling. Of course, we also have the Mountain Fork and Illinois River that offer good trout fishing pretty much throughout the year. In the designated trout waters, you are required to have a trout fishing license as well as the Oklahoma fishing license. So make sure you're up to speed on those licenses and any regulations that might apply to the particular water you're getting ready to fish. Also near Tulsa, the city of Sapulpa has Pretty Water Lake, a neat little lake that they started their own winter trout fishing program in several years ago and is very popular with anglers in this area. It has good access pretty much around the lake and does have 3 fishing docks, so you might want to check that one out too. Additionally, I'm still getting good reports of largemouth, smallmouth, and spotted bass coming in from Lake Tenkiller. And then Michael Thompson tells me down on Lake Eufaula right now that he is catching white bass and crappie about 25 to 30 foot deep. One thing about it, you can't catch them if you don't go.
This week on the Lawrence Hot Lake of the Week, we'll highlight a good bass, crappie, and white bass lake that is good right through the wintertime months. It's beautiful Lake Tenkiller in eastern Oklahoma. So let's locate it for you right now on the Lawrence HDS-10 with the Insight Shaded Relief Mapping. It's located about 50 miles east from Muskogee, Oklahoma, north of I-40 near Cookson. We switch now to the Navionics Hot Maps Platinum software for the good detail and the satellite photo overlay data. Highway 82 crosses here, here's the bridge, and we see that there are several good major creeks feeding the main lake channel. All of these creeks have deep water channels and they make good holding areas all winter long. We zoom in again to give you some idea of how these channels lay. The main river channel with 40 to 50 feet of water swings by these bluff cliffs. Then the creeks dump directly into that channel, and the channels in the creeks also have bluff walls and 30 to 40 foot of water in them as well. There will be largemouths, smallmouths, white bass, and crappie all holding along those bluff walls looking for schools of bait fish. Find the bait, you'll find the game fish, and you can catch them all winter out of 30 to 50 feet of water at Lake Tenkiller. That's this week's Lawrence Hot Lake of the Week. Stay with us. When we come back, Cajun Phil and Kevin are up next from Louisiana, and I'll have more winter striper fishing.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by your Texas Chevy dealers, is brought to you by quality award-winning Tracker boats. Fish the finest. By Lawrence, makers of the HDS, high-definition systems. And by Jean LaRue Lures and Bobby Garland Baits. Quality soft plastic baits made in Oklahoma with American pride.
Hey, welcome back everybody. You're on your Southwest Outdoors Report today, talking about wintertime striper fishing all across our region. And I want to show you the most classic thing you can find. Look right here in front of me. These birds are going absolutely nuts diving at the water. It's almost a guaranteed cinch that there are stripers, sometimes white bass, sometimes hybrids. But if you're on a striper lake and you see that, that's going to be feeding striped bass. There's one right under those birds. Come up here. That's automatic. You see those birds and you see them diving at the water like that, and it's almost guaranteed that if you can get a cast underneath them, you're going to catch a striper no matter how cold the water is or how cold the weather is. All right, birds are the deal. They're not always there. Electronics, birds, and if you have to, use other boats, but no other boats on the lake today. Really cold day. All right, let's move along right now while I'm hooking this fish and check in with Cajun Phil and Kevin in Louisiana.
Hi friends, Cajun Phil here with your Fox Louisiana Fishing Report. I tell you what, as far as the bass fishing goes, I'd go river fishing right now. We got all these cool fronts that keep coming through. What's happening is it's blowing the water out of the cuts to is headed to the Gulf of Mexico. When that happens, you just sit in the mouth of the cuts for those spinnerbaits and crankbaits, you're going to catch yourself lots of really nice bass. As far as the saltwater action goes, talked to a couple of friends down in Venice, Louisiana. They said, Cajun, if you want to catch giant, big bull redfish, right now they're from Venice all the way to Grand Isle, all along the beach. Catch all you want. They're still catching tuna offshore too for the folks that want to go offshore. In Lafitte, talked to Tofield Bourgeois. He said, Cajun, we're catching lots of redfish right now in shallow water. We're catching them on spoons and on plastic. Here on Calcasieu Lake, Kevin finally went fishing yesterday morning. Said lots of redfish, lots of speckled trout. The birds are working everywhere. West Cove, Turner's Bay, it doesn't matter. You find the birds, you're going to be under schools of either redfish or speckled trout. It's hot and heavy. Don't miss out. Come on down to Louisiana.
During the holiday season, many folks have turkey on their minds. But here's a turkey story with a twist. Humans and wildlife often cross paths as cities take up more wildlife habitat. But a flock of wild Rio Grande turkeys have worn out their welcome in Johnson City, and residents asked Texas Parks and Wildlife for help.
Population control is ruffling some feathers in Johnson City. The problem isn't so much with the people, but with the poultry. And like most big problems, it started small. Just ask these folks.
When I first started, there were about 6 or 8 turkeys. Cute, everybody loved to watch them run around.
There was 3 or 4 come up and everybody was feeding them and they thought it was real cute. I said, well, y'all gonna be sorry, you need to run them things off because those 3 is just a start.
They get up on the porches and they eat people's flowers and they, just generally make a little bit of a nuisance of themselves.
And now they're covered up with probably about 100, 150 turkeys probably.
And there's nothing cute about what they leave behind.
Her concern is that their droppings are all over the sidewalks and the porch.
Hello, baby. Come on.
So folks in Johnson City decided that some of these turkeys had to go.
That would be the ideal thing, is for those birds to see us put the feed out like everybody else and have those birds get in our trap.
We need somebody at the door. What's that door?
On a cold February morning,
What's that door?
Parks and Wildlife biologists bundled up
Just hold on to him and
to box up some turkeys.
push right on in. There you go.
But in this situation, we were able to find, or there was an approved release site up in Navarro County. That set the wheels in motion.
In our country, everybody's excited about getting turkeys.
As for the residents of Johnson City, they're just happy to see the birds go someplace that needs them. For Texas Parks and Wildlife, this is Lydia Saldana.
Texas Parks and Wildlife reminds folks not to feed the wildlife, or you might end up with a situation like Johnson City. Stay with us. Brian Hughes and Bill Olson are on the way with the Texas Freshwater and Coastal Updates. Plus, we've still got your Whataburger Big Catch of the Week and the Strin Ask the Pro.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by your Texas Chevy dealers, is brought to you by Abu Garcia, for life, by Navionics. We start where the road ends, by Whataburger, just like you like it, and by Mercury Outboards, #1 on the water.
Oh, there's one. On my reeling technique. All right. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're on Lake Whitney today. This is your Southwest Outdoors Report. One more reminder, just one more week after this week in our 2010 season. Next week's our end of season special, but today we're talking about how to catch cold weather fish, and stripers will bite in cold weather. Now, our water temperature around the region has dropped with these last couple of cold fronts. Up in Oklahoma, we've got water temperatures down near 50 degrees at the surface. In central Texas, about 57 here at Whitney. And then further south, they're still in the 60s. But as these temperatures drop, then these fish are going to go deeper and they're going to take a slower presentation. Let me tell you some of my favorite striper wintertime lakes, and let's start up in Oklahoma. The Arkansas River below Lake Keystone is fantastic. Weber's Falls, Robert S. Kerr, all in Oklahoma. And then moving over to Arkansas, good striper lakes include Beaver, Washita, and Greeson. And then of course here in Texas, some of the best striper lakes are Lake Livingston down in South Texas, Buchanan, Central Texas, along with Lake Travis, here at Lake Whitney, and then Lake Tawakoni is one of the best striper lakes in the area. Two of the lakes that have had a difficult year, Lake Texoma has not had such a good year because of the shad kill, and Possum Kingdom has not had a very good year because of the golden algae. Let's check in right now with Brian Hughes, your Texas freshwater fishing report.
Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Brass and Blades, the bait with twice the bite. Now as we move further into winter and water temperatures drop, fishing for the most part will slow down. However, there are a few species that really thrive in the colder water. That is the striped bass, his second cousin the hybrid, and of course the smallmouth bass. Now stripers on Texoma are a little slower than they usually are due to the lack of bait fish. Now smallies on Texoma are another story. Use your small jigs, hairstyle, use diving crankbaits, or you can use, again, jigs with a small swim bait. And I'm talking about a Bass Assassin type swim bait now. Use those along the ledges, try to get about 15 to 20 feet down and go very slowly for your smallies on Texoma. Now a great hybrid lake is LBJ in Central Texas, and of course Richland Chambers is also a good hybrid lake. You'll fish the same way. You're looking at humps and offshore structure that are showing bait fish. Drop a slab, jig it slowly, and you'll catch your hybrids. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Brass and Blades. Now let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. He's on the coast.
Hi folks, this week's report is brought to you by Port Aransas on Mustang Island. With its Gulf beaches, great coastal fishing, Arnold Palmer Golf Course, fresh seafood, and nighttime hotspots, Port A is truly Texas Island style. For more information, visit the website on the screen. Well, the roller coaster ride continues as cold fronts make their way through the coast to only be followed a couple of days later by high pressure and a warm-up on the backside. The reality is that the warmth on the backside of cold fronts will be less warm and water temperatures will continue to chill down through the 60s and into the 50s. Speckled trout are already in their winter patterns. They're holding in deeper holes near ship channels and in the intercoastal waterway. Now, as the day warms, the shallow water and flats with mud shell bottoms and around spoil islands or shorelines has been the most productive. Some of the better areas for deep water and sun-warm flats are the Brownsville Ship Channel, around Dagger Island and the Lydia Ann Channel, guts either side of Pass Cavallo, West Galveston Bay, the reefs in East Galveston Bay, as well as the shell pads near the Bolivar Peninsula and the deep shell on the south end of Sabine Lake. This weekend, both Saturday and Sunday have a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low tides each day. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
Oh, there's one. Let's see. He's not that big. All right, well, starting to get late in the afternoon here. It's been a good day on Lake Whitney. So, use these techniques. Follow the birds, follow your electronics. Fish very slow with a little soft plastic jerkbait on a lead head, dead sticking like that one bit. You can catch a bunch of fish right through the wintertime months. All right, we're gonna do something special here. Headed to this last break is we have a lot of Big Catch of the Week photos that have been submitted to us all year that we just don't have the weeks and don't have the time for. So we're gonna try to show you as many of those the rest of this week and next week as we possibly can. So as we go to break, here are a few of the Big Catch of the Week photos.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by your Texas Chevy dealers, is brought to you by Nitro Performance Bass Boats. Fish your best in a Nitro. By Stren, the standard of dependability. By Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. And by Motor Guide, never stop. This is the Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by your Texas Chevy dealers.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for our Ask the Pro feature, brought to you by Stren, the standard of dependability. Our question this week is from Manuel in Dallas, who writes, when replacing hooks on a crankbait to a smaller or bigger size, does that affect the action of the lure? For the answer, let's ask Bassmaster Elite Pro Terry Butcher.
It does affect the action of the lure. I'll always want to put a
usually about the same size, leave the same size hook on the middle of the bait, and then at the back of the bait I'll run a bigger hook on the back. It will affect it somewhat. You don't want to oversize it too much, because then it might sink your bait, or you want to be careful there. And you can test it in the water there, set it in the water, see if it sinks or not. But you can oversize your bait. You want to be real careful about doing that.
Thank you, Terry. If you have a question for one of the pros, visit our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com. Click on the strand, ask the pro link, and send us your information. Now let's get you back to Barry for our Whataburger Big Catch of the Week.
Oh, there's one. All right, thanks very much, Heather. Still out here. It's been a really good day catching stripers on Lake Whitney. The fishery here is really healthy. I didn't catch a lot of big fish today, but the action was really, really good. Well, we're gonna let that one go back, and it is time for this week's Big Catch of the Week. And as I mentioned earlier, we're doing something different. We're catching up on a bunch of photos that we did not get a chance to use earlier in the season. So, real quickly, here are some of the ones from some of our viewers around the region. Well, before we wrap it up here, let me give you one more clue about next week. Remember, it's our season-ending special, highlights, all kinds of stuff from the 2010 year-end review. So be sure and join us at 10:30 next Thursday night, or immediately after the Dallas Stars hockey post-game show, if that game runs late past 10 p.m. And as always, we'll be on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. Remember, you can catch stripers right through the coldest wintertime months. Keep a spoon handy. Keep a dead sticking soft plastic jerkbait on a lead head. That's my two favorite baits. Those are your go-to baits. Use your electronics, watch for the birds, and you can be successful right through the cold weather months. Be sure to dress in layers, dress in heavier clothing than you think you'll need. You can always take it off if you need to. Hey, it's been a great season so far. We'll see you next week for the wrap-up. Until then, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.